Hello everyone, welcome to the 2021 grand opening of Edwards Park in Dalton, Georgia. Brand new disc golf course designed by Will Schustrick. This is a C tier sponsored by Prodigy disc and presented to you guys by Fixated Disc Golf. We're going to go ahead and follow through my round today in this C tier. Now, some of the holes were not filmed because obviously I was playing a tournament, so I filmed most of my shots in this video. So we're going to go ahead and start. This is what hole 1 looks like. I threw my defender on a forehand over the right side OB, crashed by the basket for an easy birdie. Hole 2, I played it well. I got all the way up to the basket and I laid up, got an unfortunate roll away, took a bogey there. Hole 3 is tough. I got my forehand down to this point. I do apologize for this vertical video. It's the only one of the video. My forehand faded pretty hard at the end, and this is my approach going into the green. I lay down a forehand roller here with the harp, and that is really solid and puts me within tap-in range, and I go ahead and take my par. Hole 4, that fat tree on the left, I actually ended up hitting first available, and I had a really good scramble shot with my verdict, and it got me to this point. I have a tree right behind me that's making it tough for me to get a comfortable stance, and I had this long, probably 28 footer to save my par, and I told myself don't leave it short, and I hit the top band. So I'm going to unfortunately take a bogey here. This is the shape of hole 5. It's about 400 something feet, and it goes really far down there. I ended up taking a huge par on that. Hole 6 ended up being a tight gap. I missed the gap. I threw my felon all the way up to here, and this is my jump putt for par. I ended up taking a par on that hole, or a bogey on that hole, and that's a tough hole. So hole 7 is a tunnel shot, 298 feet. I got my Maverick, and I ripped this one a good bit. It turned a little hard to the left, but got a great kick back to the center of the fairway, put me right here. And I was able to jump up, and that stayed close to the basket for par. This is hole 8. I was able to hit the gap with my harp and push a good bit down there, but I made a mental mistake, went for the putt, missed the comebacker, took an unfortunate bogey. This is hole 9. All you have to do is hit the gap, and you're good. But I early release, missed the gap there, kicks me far. This is where I ended up. I've got a tough approach. I got my harp out here again, and that ended up being a very good approach shot. Put me in tap-in range, and I take a par. This is hole 10.
Yeah, sure.
I already threw my drive. My drive went very far, actually, off the tee. One of my farther drives, but faded really hard into the tree line. And so you can't see me, but I'm in the tree line there. I've got, I don't really have a gap, but I have my felon, and my goal here is just to punch it out and try to get up and down for a bogey. So I punch it out, and I'm gonna approach, and my approach was a little wide. I ended up getting a double bogey on that hole. And hole 11, you have to hit the gap, and I missed the gap. I began to lose focus on hole 8 after I missed my layup shot and made an errant putt. That was a really bad forehand roller there, and I ended up pitching up and taking another bogey. So I was +4 through holes 8 through 11. This is hole 12. I'm telling myself I got to turn it around here. Forehand's a little wide, but it fades through, gets through everything, and I'm all the way down there for a really good look at a putt. So I have a jump putt here, and it was a great line, just a little bit short. And this putt was more important than it looks. You know, it looks a fairly simple putt, but my straddle putt was not working today. I missed a par save on hole 3 with the straddle putt, and you saw me miss a par save on hole 4 with the straddle putt. So another par save right on the pole. Hole 13 is a par 4 dogleg left, around 425 feet. I have my Fusion Raider there, cut it a bit inside. It beats that tree, and I'm able to beat it, and actually have one of my better drives on the hole. I've got an eagle look at it. I'm probably around 80-90 feet away, just pitching up my Warden up there under the basket, tap in birdie. This hole is just a dead straight tunnel shot, 325 feet. You want to keep something as straight as possible. I got my Maverick, flipping it up there, and that was ideal. That's my best shot on the hole. I kept it straight, right in the middle of the fairway, exactly what I wanted. I had about 25 feet for birdie, and I hit left side low chains and lipped out. So this is 15. I got an EMAC Truth. I'm trying to play it straight, and I early release on a lot of hyzer, and so I ended up hyzering out a little bit to the right side rough. But as you can see, I'm not too obstructive. I can easily have a good jump putt up here, and that's what I do. I jump it up, tap in for par. I'm fine with a par on that hole. Hole 16 is tough. You have to hit this initial gap into an open layup zone and then go into another gap. I got a Lucid EMAC Truth that pushed out into the gap exactly how I wanted to. That fence right there you see is OB, so I took my meter from there. I was just leaning up in that tall grass. I've got a felon here. You just wanted to punch through that gap up the hill, and that is perfect. That was exactly what I wanted to do. I executed that exactly how I wanted. We got about 28, 30 feet here for a birdie on one of the hardest holes on the course. I sink it, super pumped about that. Hole 17, you can't really see it too well in the camera, but we've got a pretty stiff headwind here, and I'm going with a defender. I hang it out wide, and the headwind kind of prevents it from swinging as much as I wanted. I may have thrown it a bit too wide there. So I end up right here. This is a scary putt because if I leave it short and hit the cage, I have the potential of rolling all the way down the hill. So I told myself, since my drive wasn't too good, I'll give it a soft effort here, and right off the cage, really good. And I took a par. And so going into 18, I knew I was one off the lead, and so I rip this Fusion Raider. And this was my longest drive on this hole by far. This was probably approaching 500 feet. Just that adrenaline kicking in allows me to rip that drive. I've got my more stable Raider trying to crush it over the trees here. And boy, did I crush it. That went really straight, but it ended up fading for me a good bit, pin high, just about 30, 35 feet long. And this is my putt for birdie. Right in the heart. That's how I want to finish the tournament. And here is my scorecard. I ended up shooting +3, 927 rated, and I ended up playing really well. That is my division right there. I ended up tied for second at +3, and you know, there were a few mistakes I made, but overall I'm happy. That's the open division. -6 was the best score there. And yeah, that is what you guys have seen on my coverage. I'll go ahead and send it over to me in post round, and we'll go ahead and reflect on my performance. All right, thank you guys for watching the coverage. I know that I did miss a couple holes, and I apologize for that, but in the wake of the tournament, you know, my sister videoed the holes that, you know, she could, and you know, the tournament provides me for sure with a lot of anxiety, and she was there to kind of talk me down a little bit, you know, and help me calm down when I would throw a bad shot or something like that. But I wanted to take a minute, discuss my performance with you guys, because this tournament really meant a lot to me. If you've been following the channel, you know that I put in a ton of practice for this tournament, and the first thing I want to do is thank you for supporting my channel and everything that I work towards. I was able to meet a few of you guys who recognized me from the channel at the tournament, and that just motivates me even more to keep working and keep going. Those interactions are amazing, and I will continue to make videos for you guys. So going over my performance, overall, I'm happy. I finished tied for second place with another person at +3, 927 rated round. I'm happy with those numbers, but what I really want to focus on is my performance. I really focused on my breathing throughout the event. I made sure I was taking, what I would do is I would take 2 short breaths in and 1 long breath out. 2 short breaths in to build up all the stress and anxiety I may have, and let it all out in a deep breath. And that's really what I focused on, to kind of keep me calm down on the tee pad. You know, the front 9, I played well, you know, +3 wasn't necessarily what I had in mind, but considering the situation, I think I played well. You know, I opened the tournament with a nice birdie, actually a par job on 1. I absolutely parked it, and then an unlucky break on 2, but I didn't let that get to me. You know, I was able to scramble really well with a forehand roller, get out of 3, big mistakes I made on 4, but again, salvaging a bogey there. 5 is a hole that for a lefty is super hard for me. I was able to go through, get a nice, easy par. Best drive of my life on that hole. I stood up my radar perfectly. It fought through everything. I was able to jump putt up, take a 3. Hole 6 is just a tight gap. You guys saw the picture. It's a tight gap. I missed it to the right, but luckily, I practiced. And one thing I did is I practiced with my friend Noah, and we talked through everything that I would need to do on that hole. And in practice, I hit that first tree, and I practiced that scramble shot, and that helped me in the tournament. It didn't get down there as far as it did in practice, so I did have to jump putt up and, take a bogey, but that's all right. I mean, literally, Joey Lutz, who's in MPO, he bogeyed that hole, so it's a hard hole. Hole 7, I was looking to birdie, but, the adrenaline got me. I turned my Maverick a bit much, but I got a par. And then this is the part of my round that was the worst, starting on hole 8. Hole 8, I had a perfect drive. It was exactly what I wanted to do, and I normally don't get a birdie look, but I had about 30 feet downhill for birdie, and just in the moment, I felt like I had a good shot at making it. And so I missed low, and it kind of skidded around, and it wasn't too far. It was probably right around 10 to 12 feet. And I went in there, and I didn't take my time. I just marked my lie, picked up my disc, putted it, and missed right chains, and I bogeyed that hole. Went from a birdie to a bogey, and I told myself on that hole, I was like, you can't let that happen again. You got to refocus right now, and you got to hit the gap. And on hole 9, and I was trying to kind of ease up on my shot, and I just early released and hit the tree. Hole 10, there wasn't too much I could have done otherwise. It was a great shot, just faded into the woods, and it was an unlucky break. And then that kind of got in my head that my drive got in the woods, and I had to pitch out. I never had been in that situation before, and I had an errant approach that the wind kind of got a hold of and pushed to the right, and I had about 23 feet coming back, and I left it short, and that really got me, because I told myself going into tournament day, don't leave anything short, because you have nothing to lose. You've played your worst tournaments already. You have nothing to lose. If you have a putt you can make, go for it. And so leaving that short got in my head, and it was still in my head by the time I teed off on 11, missed the gap on 11, and then after I missed the gap, I was very, very frustrated, and so that bled into my forehand roller approach shot, which was not ideal, as y'all saw. Ended up bogeying that, so I went double bogey on 10, bogey on 11, and then I bogeyed 8. So this was a bad stretch. I was +6 at this point after 11 holes. So that's not where I wanted to be. And I was like, I took a moment and I was like, look, you're +6. You've never been this much over par at this course. Turn it around now, focus, let's go. Stop goofing off. And that's what I did. And on 12, it's a tough 2 to get. And I had a good drive. I had a jump putt at it, and it just didn't fall. And I ran it pretty good. I had a comebacker, and it was dead center on the pole. It was a straddle putt, and that just got me going for some reason. It was like 18 feet, but it was dead center and really committed, and that felt good to hit that solid putt. And then that's when my round switched. That was the switching point in my round, right after 12 when I made that putt. We had to wait on the tee pad for 13, and I was able to think through everything that just happened. And I was like, look, that's past you. You just made a sick putt. This is a par 4 that's very gettable, and I got myself an 80-foot eagle putt, and I wasn't trying to run it too hard. I just gave it a chance. It dropped right by the basket, easy birdie. And 14 and 15 were 2 holes that I wasn't necessarily planning on birdieing. I didn't birdie them in practice. I was just hoping to get pars on them, and I knew they could be holes I could potentially bogey. More so 14 than 15, but I ended up getting pars on both. I actually had a really good chance at a birdie on 14, and it hit low chains and scooped out, which was unfortunate, but I was like, look, you weren't even planning on birdieing this hole anyways, so you have the most stress-free par you can ask for. And just made a slight mistake early releasing, on 15, took a par. And 16, I mean, this just fed into my confidence more going into the hole. I had birdied it in practice one time, and I was going for the birdie again, and I laced it out of the gap, had a fantastic approach, and that putt was committed, and I jammed it. Birdie, that got me going. I was pumped. I showed some emotion, like that was positive emotion, not negative emotion. That was a big thing. 17, you know, you can't control the wind, and that headwind kind of held my drive. Held my drive out, didn't fade as much. I was really looking forward to birdieing 17 in the tournament. I birdied it every single time at practice, but you know, sometimes you just can't get it. But to make up for that, I birdied 18, and I had one of the longest drives of my life on 18. I told myself smooth as far, and I had smooth form, and I ripped it, and that was probably the farthest drive I've ever had. The adrenaline started kicking in, and I really aired out my approach shot, and it crashed 30 deep, 35 deep, and there was OB behind the basket, rocks, but I was feeling it, and so I ran the putt dead center, cashed it, and at the time, that put me tied for first, which was huge, and I was just pumped up, and I finished the tournament. I got a free birdie bag and for placing first on my card. And it was just a great experience. You know, the first 2 tournaments I played in, I played some of the worst disc golf of my life. And I just wanted to play an average round today, and I wanted to have a solid round, and that's what I did. It was a great event. Thanks to Will Schustrick and Prodigy for putting on an event. I cannot wait for more tournaments at Edwards Park. It's a very difficult course. As y'all saw, the MPO winner, 6 under, that was it. And I was well over 1,000 rated. So, looking forward for more events out there. I believe my next tournament should be sometime in August, I think, as long as nothing comes up over the summer. If there's opportunity over the summer, I may play in that tournament. But other than that, I'm planning for August, and the bulk of my tournaments are going to be that fall, when I'll be primarily focused on disc golf anyways. But yeah, that's it for this Edwards Park grand opening tournament coverage / reflections video. If you are still here, thank you, because you guys are the real ones for listening to my rant about my performance. But this tournament really did mean a lot to me. I'm happy that I played well. I think I should be moving up to intermediate for the next tournament. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.